Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I have my July reading plans for you. I'm very excited about this massive stack of books that I have slated to potentially read in July. I have a lot of really great buddy reads and a lot of really great books stacked up here. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in and give you all an idea of what I'll be reading in July or hope to be reading in July. So the first one is actually for the 1001 book club, and it is Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. And so this book is one of her 6 main novels, and I picked it for the 1001 book club specifically to support Jane Austen July. So if you haven't picked a book to read yet, I would love to have you come and join our group on Discord. I'll leave a link in the description for you about reading Mansfield Park. I believe the group, which is hosted by a number of really wonderful booktubers, I will leave them all linked in the description below for you as well. They will be hosting a group read of Pride and Prejudice. I know that there's another group read of Persuasion, so you have lots of options out there as far as reading a Jane Austen novel. But this one fulfills the prompt of reading one of the main 6 novels. So yeah, Mansfield Park. It's actually the last of the main 6 novels that I have left to read for Jane Austen. So that's exciting. The next one that I have on my list for Jane Austen July is actually Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskill. And so this particular book, I believe would fulfill the prompt for a book set in the same time or with a character set in kind of the same time period, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't know a lot about Cranford, and there is no summary in this version that I have here. Well, there is some stuff, but I don't want to read it because often those introductions spoil the book for me. But it's not a very thick book, but I love these penguin editions. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I also love this green color. It's the same color as Cat's Eye that I just read by Margaret Atwood. But yeah, I think this one will be a good one that would qualify for one of those prompts. So Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskill. And that actually is the end of my Jane Austen July reading plans. I know that there's a number of prompts. There's one where you can watch, I believe, or read a nonfiction. You can read one of the non-main 6 novels, and these are about the only 2 I'm going to be able to fit in July. So the rest of this is not a Jane Austen TBR. So the first book that I have here is a buddy read with Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading and Denise from La Rosa Reads, and we are going to be reading Passing by Nella Larsen. And so this particular book I picked up after reading The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and really wanted to read this one because I understand it has kind of a similar premise. The Vanishing Half was not my favorite book, so I really want to read this one and just have a different perspective. I'm really excited to do a buddy read with Kelly and Denise because it will be my first buddy read with both of them, and this isn't a very long book, so it should fit in pretty much wherever in the month. But Passing by Nella Larsen, it is on the 1001 book list. So, and then the next 2 books are to fulfill my goals for the year, which one was to read a nonfiction and one was to read a new release. So the first one is going to be The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery, and a surprising exploration into the wonder of consciousness. So last month's nonfiction ones were more hiking, survival story kind of books, and this particular book, I just wanted to go in a slightly different direction. I'm excited to pick this one up. I don't know, I've watched a documentary called The Soul of an Octopus. No. My Octopus Teacher is what it was called, and I really enjoyed that quite a bit, so I really want to pick this one up. I've heard wonderful things about it, plus there are pictures of octopus in here, so that's exciting. But that will be my official nonfiction pick for July, and my new release is my other goal that I had set at the beginning of the year, and for this one I am going to be reading This Time Tomorrow by Emma Straub. I have not read an Emma Straub novel. I don't know much about her. This one, at the start of this one, on the eve of her 40th birthday, Alice's life isn't terrible. She likes her job, even if it isn't exactly the one she expected. She's happy with her apartment, her romantic status, and her independence, and she adores her lifelong best friend. But something is missing. Her father, the single parent who raised her, is ailing and out of reach. How did they get here so fast? Did she take too much for granted along the way? Okay. I'm not sure if this is the great book for me right now. For those of you who aren't aware, my parents have been experiencing a lot of health challenges, and so this one might be a little scary. We'll see how it goes. I honestly didn't know anything about it. I picked this up at Powell's when I was down there last month, and just because primarily I loved the cover, and I'd never read anything by this author, but I'm a little bit intimidated by this topic. We'll see how it goes, but this was my my new release pick. All right, so the next 4 books I have are buddy reads. Well, the first one is Buddy Read with my friend Sonia, and we are going to be reading this book over 3 months. So otherwise, this is really terrifying. But we will be reading Kristin Lavranstadder by Sigrid Unsdet. And there are 3 books in this, and it is a chunky book. I don't know anything about this one as well. It just says, Tina Nunali has returned a masterpiece of Scandinavian literature to the English bookshelf. Set in the 14th century Norway, Kristin Leinstatter portrays the clash between feudal violence and Christian piety, traditional imperatives, and the individual conscience. For both author and translator, the challenge of this historic novel as a genre is to reach across chronological and linguistic divides without resorting to artifice and anachronism. Oh boy. Okay, so we're going to be reading a book a month, which makes this seem a little bit more feasible, because this is a chunkster of a book. But we're going to start with book 1 and kind of see how it goes. I've heard people have left comments about how book 1 wasn't necessarily their favorite, but book 2 was, or book 3 was, so I'm excited to pick this one up. It is one of the longer books on the 1001 book list, definitely. So yeah, Kristin Lavranstadder. Hopefully I'm saying that somewhat close to how it's supposed to be pronounced. I don't know though. So the next book that I'll be doing is a buddy read with my friend Angela, who's in the Up to No Good book club, and we will be reading The Robber Bride by Margaret Atwood. I just read Cat's Eye, and so this one is another Bloomsbury edition. Absolutely gorgeous. Love this cover as well. And the back of this one says, the story of Xenia ought to begin when Xenia began. It must have been someplace long ago and distant in space, thinks Tony. Someplace bruised and very tangled. Cool. So yeah, that one should be a really good one. I'm still in love with these Bloomsbury covers, by the way. I think they're amazing. But that is the next one. I still need 3 of them. Okay, I'm gonna let that one go for now. All right, the next one is a buddy read with Kristen from Enter the Book, and we just did a buddy read. I think it was in April, for kind of a newer release, and we had talked about this particular author. And so, yeah, decided to read this one in July, and we will be reading Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. This book is also just absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely adore this edition that I found. I think I found it at like a half-price bookstore, if I remember correctly. There's no price in there, but it is absolutely pristine. I have read one other Thomas Hardy, which is Tess of the D'Urbervilles. I do have Far From the Madding Crowd on my shelf, but I haven't read it yet. But Far From the Madding Crowd is one of Kristen's favorites, so I'm really excited to read this with her. I've heard mixed things about this book. Some people love it. Some people have said it's very difficult. Thomas Hardy is kind of an author for me. But yeah, Jude the Obscure, I'm going to do this one in July. And then the last book I have on my 1001 book countdown list is one that has been put off for several months. Kevy over at Say Kevy and I read Whose Body by Dorothy L. Sayers way back in, I think, January, and have had this one on the TBR ever since then, but haven't really found time to do it. And I think this month we have it scheduled for July, but we haven't connected yet. So it's kind of a tentative, we'll see. But the book is Murder Must Advertise by Dorothy L. Sayers. This will be my second Dorothy L. Sayers. There's only 2 on the 1001 book countdown by Sayers. This one and one after this one of the series, this Lord Peter Wimsey series. The first book, Whose Body, was not an overwhelming success for me, so I'm a little nervous about this. I'm hoping that since it's much later in the series that it will be more effective. But Murder Must Advertise by Dorothy L. Sayers is the last book from the 1001 book countdown on my TBR for July. That's a lot. I mean, it is absolutely a big list of books. It's no bigger than any other month for me. I definitely have some flexibility in these books as far as what I read and when I read them. And one of them, like I said, will be read over 3 months. So yeah, I'm trying to make it seem more reasonable, knowing that, yeah, it's a lot. So please let me know in the description or in the comments below if you've read any of these, or if you plan to read any of these. What are you reading for Jane Austen July? Hopefully you have a wonderful set of reading plans in July, and I'm excited. I think it'll be really good. I'm really excited about the buddy reads. I absolutely love reading with so many wonderful, wonderful people, both with and without channels, who are absolutely wonderful to talk to about in depth about books, which is I never expected that when I joined BookTube. So, okay, I'm rambling again. All right, I'm done rambling. Moving on. But as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.